Holy Stromboli. We are here. It was a little bit of a delay getting here today. I apologize. The reason you ask? I'm an idiot. The real reason specifically you ask? I fell asleep yesterday on the couch with my girlfriend and ended up taking like over an hour nap, completely zonked when she came home from work. Dead to the world. I just was gone. And then fast forward to that evening when I didn't really want to fall asleep, right? I was like, I'm kind of awake. I'm going to go play some Marvel Rivals before I go to bed. And I got a couple games in. I had fun. Ish. Got my butt kicked a handful of times too. But it was overall a fun time playing because I love the game. But then my stupid lizard brain got on the tangent of looking at YouTube streaming. So as you know, I'm new. This is all new to me. This is week 2 I'm finishing up. But I don't know what the best course of action is. So on YouTube, I'm planning on making more specified works, right? More tailored works that are, not necessarily just art related, but I want to build a bigger picture of art and games and media and kind of then pull people in to do some cool stuff with art, right? I want to be doing like a multi-pronged approach. But in order to do that multi-pronged approach, I was wondering then, I was like, oh, would streaming and having more content up on YouTube help? But I don't know. And so I literally was researching how to do it, what to do. Like I did way too much stuff last night. And the end result is I don't know if I still want to or not anyway, because what I want to produce on YouTube is not the same type of content exactly right as my streams. And so I would worry that I would split an audience in a way or kind of mess with the algorithm or something. I don't know. I think it's one of those things where in the future, I could definitely do that. But right now, I don't know. So the main debate of that is still on hold. It's paused. I'll think about it more this weekend, how I want to proceed with that. But for now, as I'm yapping, good morning. We'll figure out the YouTube streaming stuff another time. But obviously, if you didn't catch the drift, that meant I fell asleep really friggin' late, like an idiot. And so falling asleep really late meant I got up quite a bit later, which, is embarrassing. I always feel like as a grown adult, where you're like, I went to bed so late, I ended up waking up late. That's what happened. That is exactly what happened. And I was just researching stuff here for content stuff, and it's a lot to take in, all the information and stuff, and trying to figure out what the best course is not. There is no best course too, which makes things a lot harder because everything's unique, and I'm trying to do something slightly different too. I'm not trying to be video game player number 1,063,000, right? I want more than that. We'll see. Anyway, so don't mind my scratched gross pimple, right? Yuck. I scratch my head and nasty. I feel like a child when I have these pimples still. I'm so young at heart. Wow, pimples. In the sleepy eyes. I feel like I'm someone who gets like, for the first hour or so when I wake up, I feel like somebody like dig dugs my eye, just like hooks in there, just boop, 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 puffs them up. Puffs them up something fierce. Oh my gosh, don't mind me. See? Looks beautiful. I'm gorgeous, just puffy eyes. All right, well, luckily, while I was ranting and raving about what I was just doing and why I'm late and why I am an idiot, let's look at some cool stuff. I got some art up. And I also got some coffee up in my go-to Buzz Lightyear mug, which is, poor thing is looking so worse for the wear. One of the best mugs of all time. Can't really see on camera, but it's gotten so many like silver and I mean this is a brown and red mark here. It just beat up. I love it. I love it. But daddy, I love it. Mm. Coffee in the morning. So here we are, a vampire scientist. Bogdan Tausuk. Half of my ArtStation vibes are just trying to make up how someone's name is actually pronounced. I think if you do it with confidence, at least people other than the actual person are like, yeah, that sounds right. He must know how to pronounce that. Nope. Confidence makes people believe it all. This is dope. This is my kind of stuff. We've talked about before. Character exploration is my favorite thing ever to look at. Like, design exploration is the best. So right here, this clearly Dr. Voss they're going with is a vampire scientist. And I wonder if this person's got a series at all. No. Cool stuff, though. Looking at their other stuff. Very cool stuff. Give them a follow. I already am following. What a surprise. But this is what they ended up, right? These are some variations of this soul design that they were thinking. But these were all the ideas, right? Not just female, not just, you know. And I love seeing their thoughts. And usually if it goes in order, if this is how they draw it, at least for me, what you do is you go back to an idea and combine it. Or you do something like that, right? So clearly, you look at this one and they thought, big, beefy scientist, vampire scientist. But they're like, what if she's actually the opposite? Slender. Probably pretty. And has like a cyberpunk arm that like folds back. What if it's like that, but both arms are kind of ones that fold back? What if it's actually just like someone like Dr. Octopus? What if I take the male idea, make him prettier, you know, and you keep going back and forth, right? You do all these things and you can see the influence of the previous designs kind of in it. Each one you still keep building on. Usually you go opposite or purposely something. So even when it's very different, it's usually trackable, but it's so fun to see why and where they went with. And then what did they come up with, right? So these were 4 possible ones they chose. It looks like basically all the like more feminine ones. Well, that's dope, right? I love watching that. I love the process. I think this ended pretty cool because even the one that they ended on isn't even one of the thumbnails. It's like a hodgepodge of things. It's like a hodgepodge with this one, right? And then kind of the vibe of I don't like that's the thing, right? You don't have to adhere to the idea completely, but you build off of it and you make something really cool. And that is so fun as an artist and as like any sort of spectator or viewer in it to see where that went. I don't want to see the end piece. I mean, I do, but I'd like a lot more to see there. Ooh, good old Archangel. These are a lot of renders. The way Sideshow does their lighting, goodness gracious, when they do the product shots with the prototypes. Oof. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they look great always, Sideshow stuff, but like they make it look like, man, if it's a 9 out of 10 statue, their product shot team, 11 out of 10. Like they know what they're doing. Oh, is he not even? Oh, that foot is, I thought he was only touching with one foot. Or maybe he is. I wonder if they, yeah, that's clean. I like that. Just that slight little bit of anti-gravity feel. He's already stepping forward. I like how I move my head just now. Moving my head. Let me look under his wing. That's how that works. Maybe it is just barely pegged into this skull then, but it makes it look like it's stepping off, which is smart. Already following him. No surprise. This just looked really soft. I always like a clean render that just looks soft like this. Very simple, very like fleshy. Person that fair. Am I going to be hit with boobies though on this one? No. Okay. These are cute. I really like a lot of these. Very cute. Ooh. Yes. This is cool. Watching like a journey of this character go through all of this. These kind of shots, so epic. Like a mystery of design that a character stumbles upon. I actually laid some of... I knew this was a 3D layout then I saw that. This is an odd one to have made a 3D layout, seems. Even though it's necessary. Like, this makes sense to break down. This makes sense. You get a really good cast lighting and understand what we're looking at. That seems not a waste of time, but not as needed. But whatever works, right? Some clean 3D stuff out of this guy here. I'm going to pronounce the name. Oh, Jackie-Ann. Okay. Easy. I always like when they... I'm not like a huge fan of this design in particular at the moment because I don't like that it looks like if it were to close, it doesn't line up at all. The pet peeve of mine whenever people do stuff that like the idea is there to be functional, but the function isn't actually going to work. In 2D, I'm cool with that. But when you break it into 3D, I kind of want it. Like, I want you to solve that 2D aspect and how does it work then, right? How would that clamp? Simple change for this. Reel it back a little. Like, it's 3D. Either reel this piece back, give a bend to it, or pull this back, pull this forward a little bit. Could even angle that forward. But yeah, still cool looking. Still looks dope. But I love that idea. The whenever it's like clamps, like a mouth, like something looks like a mouth when it's not a mouth, but it's usually on the head, so it gives a good illusion. Oh, this is cute AF. I love this. This looks so wholesome and so cute. It feels very Lord of the Rings-esque, obviously, like a little hobbit hole almost. I can't get enough of that stuff too. Such like soft. This guy's Baptiste Boutte. His use of form and all of this is really good too. Like again, we talk about the contrasting nature of stuff, right? You've got these strong solids, these hard verticals, bam, 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 really placed in this tree. And like we say, all the curves lead you right to this. Everything, every curve, every single curve. All these trees are pretty straight. Which tree's not? This guy. Where's it leaning? Almost directly that curve into this curve. Not directly, but enough that the eye goes from here to here. And this whole part whoosh, pulls you back up and looks at this weird ghost puppet thing. I like how he called it the Muppets concept. I'm assuming he meant puppet and English is not his first language, but I like the idea that like Stadler and Waldorf are back there up in the rafters of these trees like, hey, why is the ground so pink? Yeah, that was a real... I did not know what joke Stadler and Waldorf would make there. So nothing cohesive came out of my mouth. Apologies. I don't like this breakdown, like the way he did the trees. But yeah, excellent way of conveying your story and where you want the eye to go through movement of the scene. 10 out of 10, right? For sure. 10 out of 10. I appreciate that this guy just named it Ish. Christian Erb. A bunch of character sketches. Look like there's some Overwatch stuff. Concept artist. Ooh, give me some Hobie. He's such a fun character to see because everything's distorted, or everything's stretched so drastically with him that like you usually can't do it wrong, and it just looks cool. He does have a very Overwatchy vibe. Like this legit looks like as if Kratos was to be a skin in Fortnite or in Overwatch. Great piece. Not too much to say about it. I'm a fan of this kind of background. Simple, but detailed enough, right? You get the idea of kind of like the locale she's in or does exist in. And it's not the full background because her shape is what they wanted to sell, you know? She's holding something. She seems like seductive and mysterious with this chalice hanging out. And those pieces are what break this square, right? Pretty, mystery, kind of seductive, right? Queen. Oh, when I say seductive, he's got a lot of that energy here. Like I said, as I've been drawing, I don't know how to draw sexy ladies particularly. Like I like drawing strong ladies. And I don't know the way to draw sexy ladies per se. It throws me off. But this guy knows how to draw sexy ladies, and that's good for him. And I do like a lot of these. And I was going to say, can I try and learn something? I feel like he just does a lot of the obvious, like of accentuating hips, thighs, and breasts more. Which, you know, I mean, that is how you do it. The expressions, too, kind of are all like, not all of them, but very sultry, right? Like the smile with your eyes, kind of like, come hither. Okay, just taking ideas. Always learn, right? Ooh, I don't even remember clicking this one. This is cool. This is just looks like a photo bash type of thing almost with this armor, but probably an actual just painting. That looks cool as hell. Ooh, this guy's really like elongated proportions of his characters. Like very mysterious and creepy, but cool. Makes sense. Guy's done a lot of Magic the Gathering pieces, and hot darn, are those gorgeous, right? Holy cow. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Grady Frederick. I can read that. I know that word. I know that name. Hey, are you on Twitch? No. Is YouTube? I kind of look now for everybody if they're on Twitch. That's like my thing. To see if other people are streaming so I can learn what they do. Or just network and meet new cool people who also do some cool stuff, you know? Got a YouTube page though. Do I follow you on? I do not. I don't follow. Oh, while I'm here, what did I get? Just a random like. Yeah, I use Instagram still, but I don't know for how long. Like it's a dying platform, I feel like. I don't like supporting anything with Meta at this point, and then on top of that, like I grew really well like years and years ago from like 0 to almost 1,000, and then I've not grown any followers since. No matter what I try and do to network, what I try to do to post. I like to think I post okay stuff, like they're cute and fun, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't like using Instagram much anymore. Well, I like this one. Obviously, these are two different stories they're telling, but oh, good. We see that one still. It looks like little capybara. Do you see that? That's adorable. Taking animals we already know, but just changing them is a hella cute idea. Like, we know what that animal is. You look at that. If you don't know what a capybara is, is this little guy, this little chunker, this little South American, like, is it a rodent or something? I actually don't know. Yeah, the largest living rodent. That's a capybara. Boop. But he gave him real long legs and antlers. And I love it. The design doesn't need to be unbelievably crazy. That is adorable. That pulls from a real animal. Capybara, giraffe legs, almost like a moose, or not necessarily reindeer, looks more moose like antlers. Stylized into a very fantasy vibe, done. Absolutely 10 out of 10. I like the way that they do shadows too on this. I've been trying to figure out the way people do more of that kind of stuff and break it down. So looking at like, I call these, I put them in a game once and I named them in the files Forbidden Corn Dogs. I can't even remember what the actual name of them are. Like the things you'd see in the water or and stuff like that, where they're like the little tubes, little plant things like that. But no, if we look, it's basically just highlight, shadow, and then a slight in between, right? And that's all there is. I really like that though. Style is very, very cute. Is this for a game? I wonder. It has the name, but that just might be their own character. Yeah, I love this person's style. Absolutely love how cute all of this looks. You Scalpel, I'm guessing, is not their first name. Guess who's got another package? Giggity. No, guess who's got a new delivery? Hopefully it's actually for us this time. I don't even know. So I played a game for MiHoYo and hit 3 consecutive big guarantees. I actually, so sometimes, you know, if people, English second language, I don't understand what some of that means. So I think that's a case here. I don't know if this is from a game or not. I know this is from something I like, and it's from this person's mind. This is pretty cute too. This is same vibes. Different artist. Same vibes with these people. This person clearly has worked on like mobile games for sure. The way that they do stuff. I say that not as a slight in any way. Just saying like you can like the energy is very, you know, isometric, which is very common. Yeah, and then you see stuff like this. This is Mr. Krabs. Yep. We are nearing the end as we should be because it's getting really late as my dingus self woke up really late. And also I've got an update for later. I thought TW meant Twitch. It's Twitter. Screw Twitter. I don't use Twitter anymore. Blue sky is where it's at. Okay. This painting style is unbelievably cool, but like, I don't know if my lizard brain is able to do this. Like, this is so... My girlfriend and I watched the Harry Potter baking competition. I don't remember. Wizards of Baking Palace. I don't know what it's called. And spoiler alert for those watching, the people who won learned to abstract their designs, I feel like, more halfway through the competition. And that abstraction sold it, right? And especially in the world of Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a very whimsical place. And so abstractions of standard things are probably gonna sell. But it's really hard to do, right? My brain sees shapes, sees, you know, color and stuff, where I need to learn to be like this. I need to learn this. This is something I need to practice, is learning to see all the color and how that actually, like, I see when I look at stuff, I'm like, hey, I see red and I see more red. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously that's a stupid breakdown of it. But like my brain just knows how to make things in shadow or highlight and stuff like that in a more standard manner, whereas something like this is slight abstraction, but also based on reality, right? It's all real. You look at it and you know exactly what you're looking at. And the colors are gorgeous. Like the little bits of blue, the scribbles in there, the heavy blues and the shadows, right? So very warm highlights and very cool shadows. And really pushing that with distinct color choices is not an easy thing to do. He says as someone who is unable to do it. And by unable, I mean I've never really dived into it enough. And I think that's something to be said about most things. The mystery seems harder, right? Everything's harder when you don't have any real full grasp of it and you've not done it yourself, right? Streaming, for example, like I know I'm barely talking to anybody in this moment, but I've gotten used to it, right? Like because I got over the fear of clicking stream. And once you start doing things and you have repetition in there, it becomes more normal. And so I feel silly saying, "Oh, I don't know how," but it's just it's mystified right now. And when you demystify something, it usually becomes more comfortable, more easy. But yeah, this is a weird presentation of this. Is this like this feels very beginner because they didn't even give like this almost looks like a like you look at this, I don't mean disrespect if this is their art. But when you look at things that are like not even a full resolution and not like turnarounds and like distinctly different, like, yeah, I don't know about this. If this is all this person's work, they've all just been posted and they're all drastically different and something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one. Well, it's a weird one to end on, but that's what we're ending on. Bye. Well, I did not pull up Spotify today. So you'll be happy to hear I did actually do a little bit of work outside of stream. Just a little, not a whole lot, but enough to say I did something so that I think we can just jump into the actual coloring and stuff or the shading. So my shoulder's been so out of whack though. I don't know, man. I need to figure out some good exercises, something. I think it's the cold not helping too. And the fact that I've been just doing home workouts now for far too long. And then now we were finally going to get back to our gym. Well, our new gym, old gym. You know, our old one's actually been closed down now while we were on break from, you know, the holiday and stuff. But apparently it's supposed to be like -20 feeling on Monday. And you know what I don't feel like doing at -20? Leaving the friggin' house. Like, no. Oh, that's so cold. I can't do that. So I may be lazy again. Do we have any? This would be great if I had more people on stream because I can hit up requests and just throw that on. Like right now, I'm thinking, I don't want to think about what I want to put on for music. I just want to click on a thing and have music play. I don't know. What are we thinking? Somebody say the Beatles. Was that me? Okay, sounds good. We hear that even? I'm gonna skip ahead so we can see. Okay. You guys can hear it, it looks like, but my level. Oh, it's still real quiet. I just don't want to wear headphones. Okay. I really need to get just like a wireless little dingleberry bloop, right for one of my ears, because I don't like having both ears covered during the day for some reason if I don't have to. like, it's a weird mental thing for me. I just don't want to have all of it covered. So I recently switched to using my open back Sennheisers, which has helped. So when I use those during game times and stuff, or even when I stream, I can stream with these right now. These are old, like 15 plus years old, but good headphones don't go old, you know, unless they're the headphones I talked about yesterday, in which they go old when you break them in half, trying to show people that they're unbreakable. I don't know who would do that, though. An idiot. That's who. So I'm pulling up Rivals. Oh, and I always forget then for audio, I want to shut the game audio off completely. We don't want to hear that. Oh, I know, game audio for this. We are not in the right. There we go. So game audio. iPad. Do I even have a game audio? I must have deleted the game audio channel entirely. Can you hear the game audio? Like, can we hear this? Hold on. Yeah, I don't think you guys can. I'm listening to a side stream of it, so I can understand the. Yeah, I don't think you guys can. Side stream. Okay, yeah, it is sounding fine. No music for the game. I don't know why it's coming through so much. Well, I'm turning mine off. I don't want to hear it. If you can hear this super loud game audio though, and you do find yourself in chat, you should let me know. Oh crap! These are in store. Never mind. Going to look at this real quick. I lied. I was a bold-faced liar. 100%. I'm sorry. What are we looking at? We don't have audio then. It's not a big deal. God. Another Marvel Rivals. Beautiful one. These are all just, again, the fact that these are all their own designs inspires the hell out of me. That this team is just stunning work. The Lunar New Year's. This is tempting for me. I love Mantis. She is one of the best healers. I don't know how you could argue anything other than that, but her Battle Pass skin from last season was really good. So it's hard to want. So I do have a complaint. I understand whether or not they're just canned animations, but I wish the MVP animations weren't tied to the skin you were wearing. I wanted for that emote. That's hella cute. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need to buy another. I already have a Mantis skin that I really like, so it does seem silly to buy one. Right? That's adorable. Let's go back. Let's take a peek so you can see it. Sorry. Like, this guy, come on. Both of these are fantastic. They're keeping up the Lunar New Year theme, which I think is wild. The idea of keeping Lunar New Year in stark contrast to the, like, super dark, gothic Dracula theming. But yeah, these are absolutely adorable. I mean, can't we all? I mean, Malice is, it's a good skin though too on top of that. Like I was telling my girlfriend the other day that, like, yes, she's hornbally 100%, but as I've been sitting here drawing her every day now for the past couple days, it's a dope design. Like, it's a pretty cool design on top of it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm actually doing then. So I'm in the middle of researching and getting stuff set up. So I haven't done, yeah, those are so wild and such a So good. But yeah, the been doing a lot of research on the original costume and doing like a I'm going to do a video series on a lot of the characters and where they come from. I think that'll be really interesting. So it's going to be a lot of breakdowns of like, hey, where did the lore come from? How did they translate it? Where did they exist in this? But so like do like a lore whole breakdown of like where Malice came from, what she did in the comics and stuff. I was trying to do fan art. Oh, like without seeing the back, you mean? The back is weird because it is like rib cage too. Like the back actually breaks down in a way that just kind of pulls in exactly like a rib cage. So if you look, it's just doesn't even really make too much sense that it's even more straps. Like it's a tip of a strap with another. Yeah, I don't really get that idea, but it works, right? Yeah, that's why I've been enjoying pulling these into games. So when you look at the reference and stuff, you can easily see the full picture. Oh, this is the wrong board. So I've got, I don't know if what you use to do your drawings, I use an iPad. Here, I've got my Cintiq in the office, but here I use my iPad. And I've been looking back and forth. So I got the sketchboard when it first came out years ago. Absolutely loved it. Fantastic piece of equipment. And then it's hard to use here at my desk. So I ended up getting the V2 sketchboard. That can equip to an arm. So I can plug it into an arm and it works. So now I have two different sketchboards because I like the one still more for when I'm doing stuff off the desk. Like I'm just like chilling on the chairs or going downstairs on the couch. But on here, it's so much better for my collarbone and stuff to have a piece of equipment that allows me to rotate it a little more cleanly rather than just being locked into a singular position with the board. But yeah, so let's get the iPad pulled up now that we've got her on screen. So we've got that as reference. Not that we really, at this point, are at a stage that we need reference, to be honest. But it doesn't hurt to have something else up. So let's say good morning to the iPad. There she is. So I did off stream finish up some of the edge work just to clean up. So it does look a little better. At least now I finished up the hair and something else. I don't remember, but it's getting there. Excuse me. So today I just kind of want to blop in some shadows and highlights and play with that kind of stuff. Nothing too crazy. One thing I'm looking at right now that I feel like I always forget. My brain immediately looked at this skin, right? I can't remember the name of the term for it, but basically one of the differences in going from skin to anything else is the transition. And so it's easy to draw just, you know, the transition as a hard edge or something like that of color. But what really happens with skin when you break it down is it does a lot more warmth in the transition. And I wish I could remember like the term for what that is. But lizard brain me who woke up too late can't remember, and that's okay. Trust me, it's a thing. So what I wanted to do was do that. So make it more red, a more warm color. Let's try that. I've never done it with this type of shading though, where it's just like simple. So let's see if this looks ugly. I've done it with softer shading, not quite on something hard like this. I don't know if this is just going to look like a an outline. Because I've been just playing with different rendering lately, and this one is a much more graphic look. But now what if we blur it though? So if we just do something like that, and then have like a slight blur to the color. Does that soften it to a good degree? I don't know. It's always hard when you're doing stuff like this if it becomes too soft, certain things. What if we just drop down the opacity a little bit? That's not bad. I feel like that softens up her shape and feels more lifelike, at least in my mind. Cool. Yeah, let's try that. And if we don't like it, we can always remove it later, but for now, let's just throw that in while we're thinking of it. There's not that much skin. You know, despite seeing what looks like a ton of skin, is really not, right? It's actually tights, but just the arms and armpits are basically what's exposed. But yeah, it definitely looks a little weird on this type of shading, for sure. Looks like a weird cartoon. So we'll see. I'm not sold on it. But sometimes you need to let something sit for a little bit and then you can decide, right? There's no way. Like, I feel like sometimes I look at something and I'm like, this is either both a good decision and a bad decision. I don't remember. I can't tell what the right thing to do is. I don't know. You leave it, you sit on it, you come back to it. With a lot of this stuff, it's easier commit to something and then change it if you want later. Like, I need to get better at not second guessing as much and just do it. And then if it works, cool. If it doesn't, also cool. Like, no harm, no foul, right? So this will be an interesting spot though, because I'm going to change her face more later. I was going to put some detail in with like the brow and stuff. So for now, this might be what it is, and then it'll change later. Okay, so we've got that in. What happens if we just drop the opacity anyway instead from this? That's actually not too bad. I don't mind that. It's super subtle then, right? I still want to blur it though. Yeah, let's give a little blur to it. Just a wee bit. Not as much as last time. Just like just enough. Just 2%. Okay, can you see the difference there? So it goes from like a hard transition here for the skin to just feels a little more natural. Just a little. Whereas like the tights and stuff like that, that's supposed to, I want those to be, everything else to be pretty hard contrast. Which, speaking of hard contrast, let's do spikes. I feel like the spikes will go a long way visually. I like doing a lot of bang for your buck, right? So if I want some quick satisfaction from what I'm working on, take the point that's going to work quick and easy, right? So if we're going to do a highlight, or we want to do shadow, let's do shadows. Go a little more purple and then drag it down here. And let's see how that looks. Could even be a smidge darker. So what I like doing with my shadows is a lot of people will just go straight down, go darker, right? It's usually not how color works. So I usually change the shift of color a little bit. So if it's a shadow, shift it a little cooler, shift it a little hair cooler, a little more saturated, and a little darker. That way it's not just like a grayed out or blackened version of the color, because that's not at all how color works. And yet people do it, and then when you look at it in painting or in the image, and it just feels inorganic. Like sometimes you don't know what's wrong with it when it's like that, and you're just like, wow, the shadows look fake, or They just don't feel right. And that's usually what's going on, is the color's too digital. They just pick it. So this spike's pretty much all highlighted, I would think, right? If the light's coming from up top. So just give like a little illusion of shadow here. Nothing crazy. Maybe like a little squiggle here and there. I kind of like the idea that these spikes are not perfect. So we'll go through actually with a sketch brush, my sketch liner probably, and do a little bit of like a grungy weird pass. I just like making things wiggly. And so if it has a little bit of movement in the lines, in the shadows and stuff like that, like these are very flat right now. But then like I like to go through and maybe take a jitter and just, oh, that's huge brush. Like give it a little bit of variety here. Maybe not the most perfect, but it looks good. Did I finish my coffee? I wish I had more. I don't think I do. Oh, I have one sip left. Beautiful. Yeah, having a late morning, like a late start to the day, who knew how much you needed coffee, right? I didn't know how much I needed coffee until COVID. I refused to drink coffee. It was like, coffee's for old people who can't get energy naturally. And as like a big fitness guy, I'm like, that's dumb. I said, as I was someone who takes pre-workout and took pre-workout at the time, plenty. And pre-workout being just a, like imagine like, depending on the pre-workout, some are basically like crack cocaine. The pre-workout I use is much more subdued. And it is kind of just like, imagine like a supplement with some caffeine in it. But I have had my girlfriend drink some of it when we're at the gym, and her brain just, you see her eyes just go, and she'll take like a single sip. Whereas I take, she's like, can I have a sip? And I'm like, you can have whatever you would like. But usually, yeah, just a sip will do it, because otherwise her heart explodes. Which is probably not a great thing for, but I don't know. I feel like it helps. And is it placebo at this point? I don't think so, because it is actual caffeine. Like, you are getting a big jolt. And so when you're lifting heavy, you do kind of need an extra push, like some days. Especially since I'm a nighttime gym goer. I've already expended all of my energy, right? Like, you've already used up a good amount of your mental and physical energy for the day. So do you have that much more to give? Probably not. So fake it by giving yourself fake energy. It also has creatine in it, and that's a supplement I take every day anyway, and I need it morning and night. So why not get it in that way too? Creatine's not cheap. So getting my nighttime serving of it in there is nice. So since these are in the shoulder region here, everything's much more in shadow. I'm kind of really being more heavy-handed with the brush here. More, and that should be fine. Because then it looks weird, the ones that aren't. So yeah, I'm giving these a lot more. The one is almost exclusively in shadow. These, what if we just put them all in shadow? Sometimes if something's pretty much all shadow, why add shadow when you can just add highlight instead? So if this is all in shadow, you add the whole thing in shadow, and then what if we just kind of erase for where the little bit of light would actually exist, rather than the other way around? Why work harder when you can work smarter, right? Okay, so nothing crazy with these spikes, but they feel more in space now. I don't actually remember what this piece looks like. We can spin around. Oh, kind of like that. I just was alluding to the shape. I wasn't doing anything fully. If we remember, when I remember sketching this out, I said, we get the idea across. I don't need to get the exact detail of this mechanism. And I think that works. We're selling the idea either way. You get it's like a little detailed piece without being too in your face of shadow and highlight and stuff. Let's put the whole thing actually. And then, like I said, do just a hint erase. Cool. Again, good enough. We're not trying to do anything bonkers. If anything, I kind of want to feel like this is all in shadow to sell. Because when I add the, because this is like a different plane, right? Up here, because it's a thick, I can't remember, like a scarf, a thick scarf of hers. So I want this to be in shadow and this to be more in highlight. Or I guess I always do that when I'm drawing on the iPad. It's if you can see the pen. I need a secondary camera from like right here looking down. I think that would be good. But okay, I think right here I want to look at my line work, get an idea. So here if I have my line work up, I can kind of see where the shadows should lie a little bit better. So if color's coming in, I wanted this piece, right, to be a spike coming in our view this way. And then if it is rotating in space, we would see a lot of shadow this way. And then the light would finally be heading the underside around here-ish. If this is a solid little piece, that'll cut in there. Let's make it more of a point. There we go. So we'll define the shape by the ambient occlusion on it. So right here, while shadow may not super exist too much, there is still usually some sort of ambient occlusion that, like, when two surfaces touch, there is shadow that happens between the two. Usually not like the most perceptible shadow, but it is there. So putting that in there can help sell that shape. Oops. And then not quite sure the exact look of this spike that I want, but I don't like that. I don't want the whole thing in shadow. So what if that looks very samey though? That's like half of it was in shadow. I don't want, like we've talked about before, you want to be more organic. So if I do it half and half, that feels inorganic already because nothing is usually that even. So break the shape a little bit, make it a little 70-30 or something to kind of sell it. So normally with rings like this, if you've got shadow down here, that's so if the light is coming from like this, oh, we can't draw because it's but the shadow's coming from, or the light's coming from kind of by her arm here, right? Back behind. So if the shadow's coming here, oh, we've got this little spike I forgot to address. But that means then the opposite can be said. So if the shadow's here, then it's usually the opposite side of a cylinder shape that is going to get the brunt of the other shadow. Trying to give some little shapes here just for the shadows, make it more interesting looking. And again, since it's metal, you are okay to kind of like play with it more, and like, because metal reflects weird, it refracts light in such a way that there will be occasionally like a random shadow or highlight despite light hitting it in a different way. studying metal is a whole beast that I feel like is hard to do. And then when people do it, like you look at people who do like fantasy armor and stuff, super cool looking. I had a friend at an old job where we worked with the casino industry, and she paints. She still paints. Rachel Ross does an amazing job at painting. She has like an Etsy shop, really cool pins and stuff like that she makes. But she became the gold painter. Like just quite literally, like when something needed to be done and look painted gold, like hand painted gold really well, it was always like, Rachel. So I feel like she probably got bored as hell. Like all she ever ended up doing was like, well, I guess I'm the gold one now. She's the golden child. But shout out to Rachel Ross, not to be confused with Rachel Ross from Friends. Hopefully things are going well with her. I know after that studio it didn't shut down completely, but it might as well have. They dropped most of all of us, and it was like a skeleton crew working there then after. That was good times though. I really enjoyed that time working there. I met some amazing people, and I hope the best for, people like that who got let go along with me. This was like COVID time. This wasn't even recent. This was a long time ago. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm just making up shapes now over here. I don't even know what I'm doing. Doesn't look like we can take this off. That looks kind of too ugly. We'll simplify those shapes. I was talking too much, just doing nonsense. So let's put more stuff in shadow here. So this one, I'm just gonna slap on shadow. Like I said, slap it on shadow, and then I'll just erase where there would be a little bit of light still hitting it, instead of the other way around, because it's a lot easier this way. It's like the joke when someone like makes a salad, right? I always make fun of people like that because my sister used to always do that, where I'd be like, would you like some salad with your ranch? It's kind of that same idea, right? Like, if you're going to have a crap ton of the one thing anyway, like, fine, pour on the ranch. And now I'm removing the ranch to reveal a little bit of the salad. It's a weird way of looking at it, but the idea is the same, more or less. Okay. How much more we've got? Just, yeah, I don't know what I was doing here. Who told me to do this? Not me. That was dumb. Like I said, some shape discrepancy is cool, but oh, fart! I made a big brush. Other times just looks ugly, and unfortunately, we learned where the line was today, right? We learned together where ugly lies and pretty stops, and that's okay. Sometimes, like I said, it's easier, so let's just commit and put this whole bit in shadow then. I always forget when I'm doing. I need to remind myself to do less realistic on energy, or like simplify the style. So if I'm working with a simplified style, keep that relatively simplified style and don't try and like reinvent the wheel. with a lot of stuff, simpler is usually better. And I forget that a lot. I feel like most of us do when we're doing art. You get excited to add the details and stuff like that. Coming from a 3D background in particular, I like adding the detail, right? I always added the detail in. That was like the fun part, is like putting in the nuts and the bolts and the stuff that really sell it. And so when you're working in 2D, my brain wants to do that same thing, but I need to remind myself that it's not as efficient doing it that way. And especially if we're working in this specific style where it doesn't really preclude itself to have that. So just blocking in more of these shadows that we've talked about from before. Same idea. Give a little ambient occlusion. Same idea as the last like curve shape we're going to do. But this time, keeping in mind, we're simplifying, right? Right. 100%, 100%. All right, let's spike it out. Since this is lower by her legs, I think we're going to have even more shadow. So let's just slap all of them in shadow right now. And then again, you want some salad with that ranch? We'll do that. That's the method we're calling. We're dubbing it the salad with some ranch. My little sister's watching. Well, I know she's not. She works at Disney. She's probably enjoying weather and sitting and working outside, where I am here inside, where it's actually pretty warm today by Chicago standards. I think it's supposed to be like 40 degrees today, which is fine by me. I'm excited to go for a walk outside and not have to bundle up like a madman. It's weird though, living in an area where it is cold so often, especially around this time. Your brain tells you to bundle up. I look outside, I see all the snow, right? And my brain goes, "Oh, I bet it's still cold out." And cold to me is different than cold to other people, right? So if it's 40 degrees, that sounds hella cold, right? For like, especially if like someone like my sister in, down south in Florida. But also Monday apparently here is supposed to be almost -20 feeling. -20. During the day, I think it's supposed to be around -10 feels like. So that is quite literally a 50-degree difference. So while, 40 sounds cold, by contrast, that's 50 degrees warmer than what it very well might be on Monday. So 50 degrees that's hot, right? If you're living in somewhere it's 60 degrees and all of a sudden it's 110 degrees, 110 is really hot. So it's kind of that same idea. So you don't know how to bundle up though at times, because it's still cold though. Like, I'm not saying it's not cold, but comparatively my brain's like, ooh, summer weather almost, right? Like, not even close. But like, your brain says that. And so half the time I either still over bundle and then I'm hot as hell when I get home, which I'd rather be hot than cold when I get home. But still awkward feeling to come home in like a sweat when it's so cold out. But again, I take my walks seriously I'm basically a human dog. I need my food, I need my walks, and I need my playtime. And so I really like my walks. And it's not like, sometimes it's more casual walks, yes, but I'm a fast walker. I like to get schmoving. I like to keep it at a good pace. And so obviously if you're over bundled up, you're going to be real cold. I mean, over bundled, you're going to be real hot in the cold. Can't even talk. I got cold on the mind. Again, here, I'm giving a little bit more because this is technically closer. So if the light's coming from behind her on our right side, this would be getting more. So to contrast, so I know the other spikes we put primarily in shadow. We put some salad on that ranch. And here, though, we're going to do the opposite. We're actually putting some dressing on here ourselves. That looks weird. I don't know why that looks weird. The beauty of digital, the second it looks weird, what I do? I just wiped it. Wipe it clean. Wipe it clean. Nobody needs to know. Just redo it. This is one thing I did off stream too, and I don't know if anyone would notice, is I redid the foot here. You can see my initial sketch was huge toes, giant toes, because I said I don't know how to do sexy. My brain said, oh, it's toes with like long toenails. And I was joking that my brain so is like not attuned to being like, I always draw sexy women. My brain went, werewolf foot? Like, no, don't draw werewolf foot. It's supposed to be sexy. And no, not the other stuff here on Twitch that are furry, like sexy werewolves. That's also not the vibe. Like, this, I know there's an audience for that. That's not what we're doing here, though. This is not my thing. Though I don't know what's the live long enough as the hero, you see yourself become the villain. 30 years from now, you see me drawing booby furries. Absolutely not. Never. So if you're here for that, tough luck. Go somewhere else. Okay, so quickly added, and by quickly, I mean that was not super quick. But so the spikes are kind of nice amount of detail to those spikes now. And if we get rid of I think I'm done with the Beatles right now, though. I don't know about you guys, but I certainly am. But something more playful. This is too, for being sleepy, I put on something that makes you sleepy. Put on my punk playlist, right? That's always good. Punk, when in doubt, punk it out. Cool, back. Now, what do we want to work on now? Let's do the straps. I kind of want to do small pieces first right now, just because I'm being weird. And because I was tired and I wanted to warm up. Still trying to find the ideal position for this arm, but it's not what I have right now. Still, if you were wondering, it's not the way I've got it set up at the moment. I feel like I might need to move physically the arm itself to a new location. Like on the desk, physically on the desk. Right now it's close to me, and if I move it, it might be better. What were we doing? I forgot. Reds. Cool. So again, as usual, pop it in shadow. Let's go a little cooler. So that means a little more pink. And a little more saturated and a little darker. And pull it a little more this way. So that looks like it's going to be pretty drastic. Yeah, that's too pink. I went too far. Course correct. Let's just do something like that instead. And see if that reads. Alright, that works. I went too far. Got that little bit of detail. Are we on the right layer? Yes. Again, salad with that ranch. Let's just put it all in shadow. Actually, let's just leave it all in shadow, right? Or do we maybe get rid of like this chunk? It is cloth, so I don't like the idea of it being like 100% in shadow. Cloth is kind of weird, but it's got, you know, a little bit of discrepancy here and there. But for now, let's just leave it like this because I don't. Just trying to get Chunk's done, right? I don't even know if this would cast much shadow, but just for the sake of playing with visuals, let's give it a little bit of shadow. You really can't see that anyway, so. Again, trying to simplify. I keep trying to add more variation, but just simplify it. Keep it simple, stupid. So here's where I was talking that I wanted to make sure we had more shadow this side so that it really sells the shape, right? That it's, you know, a thicker piece of material moving in space, not just a thin piece. But so give some ambient occlusion around this. The bottom side would have depth. So technically these are holes, right? So they wouldn't have any color. I think these probably would, maybe. I'm just curious if this looks good. Just alluding to a little bit of the holes in this space. Because it is a buckle. You know, all these are like weird little buckles. So if we do just erase a little bit, does that sell it well or not? Let's fake it though, or not fake it, but like my design, my sketch had it. Actually, I do. Now looking at it, the sketch should be there. Never mind, because it's rotating in space pretty heavily, so that would be where the hole is. And then technically there was another grommet hole up here. But I think that gets lost in the weeds. Yeah, unneeded detail on that one. So let's call it a. Again, I won't tell if you won't. That, you know, there probably should be something there, but I'm not drawing it. So here would be shadow then, because this is going to be like in a hole, and that'll help sell then the buckle holes. Simple, right? Just a couple little lines, but that sells it. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. And then this would be casting some sort of shadow. Again, super basic that we're doing here, but okay. And this is like the under part of the shoulder pad, so that'll be primarily in shadow anyway. We've got this, which is going to be kind of more, not highlight, but definitely brighter on the edges. And remember, this is where we faked that this was like a 3D pushback. So if we give a little bit of shadow on there, it'll help sell that that's further back, right? Yeah, for sure. So it's easy to want to, like I said, for detail here, like I would like to give it like a little bit more variation where it's like, oh, there's like a rim shadow here and then it comes, but sometimes that gets too much. Like I said, sometimes you add too much detail with this style in particular, you know, like a more cartoony style, and it already has a lot of detail comparatively. So I don't want to overdo it. But one thing, like I noted, if you look, so this shadow up here, this one, so this shadow on high is going a little bit more inward because if you think of the light, the way it's coming from, so the light's coming from here, and the arm itself is kind of shaped like this to the viewer. It cuts in and then down. That would make sense that you follow this curve, right? So even the highlights are following that curve because that'll help sell the shadow. So highlight, shadow, synonymous terms then at that point because the other is the highlight, at least in the moment. So just little note, right? Not just throwing down color willy-nilly. There is a reason for stuff like that. Okay, shall we tackle the scarf now? I definitely need to throw on my sketch to have an idea of what we want with this scarf. So the scarf is an interesting one because it's a lot of shadow. So we could almost put some salad on that ranch here too, but I don't want, like mentally, I want to break the shape down first before I do that. So we're gonna add it more normally here. It's interesting when you do cloth, like something folded of this nature, because it's double-edged. You can't screw it up because it's cloth and like it's just a bunched up piece of material. So it's hard to screw up. But in the same vein, it's real easy to screw up. I hate some stuff like this where it's like, oh, easy peasy, you can't screw it up. But then somehow it's a lie because you actually can. It's much harder to do it just right though. Like the realm of, or the, what would the term be? The acceptable ratio here or whatever. I don't freaking know. You can either make it like 50% okay, or you can make it like 70 to 90%. And I feel like that's where it's the difference, where it's easy to get the gist of it, but it's hard to get it to look just right, if that makes sense. Because you're still selling actual folds, right? So if you just randomly are throwing down shapes and they don't adhere to the logic of how the piece of cloth is actually moving, well, then you're not really selling the movement, you're selling abstract lines. So like right here, we talk about tangents a lot. This is a tangent I don't like. These feel too samey. That said, I like this line. So we're going to keep this line and reassess the others. Or the other that was there, contrasting it. So with this scarf, I kind of want to help exaggerate. Oops. But there, like the more of an angle. I'm not sure if that works. Okay. I might need to reassess how the shoulder is, because the shoulder looks like shoulder goes in front, I'm assuming. Kind of could be going under. So let's just say this scarf is folding over it. It's fine. So this was a big highlight still connected. I don't like that because it didn't feel natural because it's receding back in space. So if you break that, so it's like its own little highlight, I think that looks a little better. Kind of just want all of this in shadow though. The backside, there's no real highlight to it. I don't know. Maybe we connect just like a smidge here. My brain randomly reminded me about that game we talked about the other day, the Orcs Must Die, and I got excited. I felt like a little dingus. My brain, out of nowhere, literally just sitting here drawing, and my brain reminded me that, hey, Orcs Must Die comes out in a week from Tuesday, and my brain went, ooh, nice. Speaking of random thoughts, so we were playing games a couple nights ago with my friends. As we play normally, I play off-stream games Monday and Wednesday nights, and that's my way of keeping up with my best friends and stuff like that. And one of them, whose name we refer to sometime as Miggy, he hates it. I call him Miggy P. He was not a fan. I dubbed him that like 6 years ago, and I randomly call him that, and it's like you just kind of whatever, it is what it is at that point. He probably hates it, but it's fine. But we were talking about something and it came up with feet. Oh, it's because one of my buddies was in chat talking about the toes or something like that of this character. And so we were talking about feet, doing different things like that, making jokes. And then about selling feet pics and really obscure, gross, weird things. Anyway, my buddy came up with a name for Miggy, Miguel, and holy crap, she has earrings. I just realized she has earrings. We're gonna have to include those somehow. She's got like little spikes. So I wonder if I put a little spike coming through. I'm sorry, completely random. A spike coming from the ear down here and a little bit overlapping here, going behind. Crap, I did not realize that. That's a detail we should definitely add. But anyway, he called them Miggy's Piggies. And I don't know why I lost my shit at that. Miggy's Piggies. Just a stupid comment. And you know, sometimes you get sometimes they just hit you harder, right? And Miggy's Piggies hit me pretty hard the other day. I had a good old laugh at that. All right, so we are still on the red color. I really want to fix her abs though right now. I keep looking at that, and that was such an ugly blop I set down there. We'll do that next. We'll finish the red. So the scarf looks good enough. I think that was a quick put in there, but I think that looks clean. And now I'll do the straps here on the leg, and then I'm going to fix immediately the abs because I keep looking at that and I hate it. Because I wanted more abs visible, but I don't know. It's an interesting spot because technically her wrap goes like on the rib area too, but I wanted to accentuate that curved shape. We're keeping it. Anyway, how do we want to? So these are holes, but they're holes that... Ooh, this is an interesting one. So these are holes that exist, but it's the purple underneath. So we'll see if I can kind of fake these, and then we'll just kind of barely erase the inside. Just a little itty bitty amount. Oh, good old Miggy's Piggies, am I right? So this, though, would have the red behind it, presumably. So I don't need to erase these. Because if you think about the space behind it, it's just more of the red. So technically, this would just be all shadow, because it's just deep red underneath. Right? I think so. There is like that little bit of detail, but again, it's a hard one here because we don't want We'll see. We'll add that detail in, and I'll see if I like it, if it gets too busy or not. And when I say the detail, what I'm talking about is there's like a sewn edge to give like a trim to these straps. So it's kind of like there's like a shadow this way too, right? Because it's indented. But I don't know if that's going to look too busy. What if we just make these heavily in shadow? Yeah, I like that more. So this is those are in shadow. This definitely would be, but it'll get lost if we put the whole thing in shadow. So we'll pretend it's getting some highlight still, which it is protruding forward comparatively. So it's not that it wouldn't be getting some. I'm not really feeling these straps for some reason right now, but it's okay. We'll just slap them in. There again, I need to just get stuff done. And that means just friggin' doing it. So today is Friday. I talked about it before. I think we are just going to have a unbelievably lax weekend. Girlfriend and I here at home. She's been getting her butt kicked, but also kicking butt at work. But also like we just need some time after the holidays to not do stuff mentally and physically. Like, I mean, we'll do the normal. I gotta clean. We gotta clean. We gotta do that kind of stuff. The boring home ownery, boring things. And go grocery shopping and all that. Which actually, I think I'm going grocery shopping today, seeing as it's the warmest it'll be at 40 degrees or something right now. Yeah, these straps aren't that exciting to me right now. I don't know what it is that I don't like them too much. I'm gonna slap this whole thing in shadow to fit like the other one though, right? Otherwise it's gonna feel weird. But I'll need to remember to erase that little bit still of the red to make sure we know that that's there's a hole there still. But I'm okay leaving like a little bit here. Same idea like we talked about with the wrist, that like that shape is round and it's curving around space. So it would be adjusting the angle that light would be hitting it as it rotates. So we can keep that angle going down, countering the legs shape. Let's erase actually right now while we're in the mindset of it. Crap, is this above the purple? It is. Did I just not draw the purple? Okay, I see. I need to remember to draw the purple underneath, because now she just got straight up holes in her leg, which is obviously not the look we were going for. I got that tryptophobia, you know what I mean? I don't want to see holes. But also for real, I do have that. It's weird. It's super bizarre, the idea of like a thing that your brain says is fine. Like I look at holes and it's fine. I don't really care mentally. But I can't control for some reason when I see it, it makes me sick. Like a character or something with like a bunch of holes on it. Even though my brain says it's fine, it doesn't matter. I get sick to my stomach and I feel like I'm gonna puke. It's so bizarre. I don't like it. I frankly hate it because it's such a silly thing in my mind. Like, what are you feeling that way for, man? But I can't help it. It's a weird thing with our brains that like there are stuff that just breaks our brains, and I don't know why. It is weird because you would think about it from an evolutionary perspective, I suppose, right? Why did we something had to cause that fear probably in us as humans from an evolutionary perspective. Like that's why there's the argument of like the uncanny valley. Like, are we scared of things that look human but not quite simply because we saw something in the past? Like that's there's an argument people make for aliens even then where it's like, oh, we're scared of things that look human but aren't because in the past we saw aliens and they tried to like you could make an argument for anything, right? But I wonder realistically what could have been the thing that caused humans to have this fear of holes. Because like I said, I don't, in my head, it's fine. I don't care about it. But yet my brain tells me, no, you're going to die. Like you feel sick to your stomach. You just can't handle it. So I don't know what that is. Oh, fart. I didn't realize. Man, I'm noticing all these details I forgot about. So there's spikes on her studs, more so on her things there. And on this part, it's actually ringlets around them. Man, I got more work to do. I thought I was done with the base designs. Okay, well, we'll finish up the red. Finish up red. Fix the abs real quick. Even if I don't do the abs, it's just they look hideous and I hate them. So fix up the abs for just a sec. And then once I do that, then we'll add these other silver details that I completely neglected and didn't notice as I should have. So again, she's got the earrings and she's got ringlets on the scarf part that I did not represent. They're just holes. So we'll need to do both of those things to sell this shape a little better. Do I skip songs? I forgot on this keyboard. Where's function? That's not how it works. I apparently don't have that keyboard set up. There we go. Good enough. Something different. What time is it? Oh, it's already 12:20. Yikes. That is much later than I realized. And we're not nearly as far as I wanted. What a surprise. I swear this never happens. Psych, it happens every damn time. This looks ugly, this shape here. I need to fix that real quick while I'm looking at it. The strap just looks weird. It should come out a little bit more, right? Yeah. Done. I'm not sold on those straps exactly like I said, but I do want to fix these ugly abs that I'm looking at them. Again, we don't need to reinvent it right now. I just need to not make it hideous. Right? This area, I don't know what I was doing. It might have been before I cleaned up other stuff, but I hate it. I keep looking at this part and I'm like, who drew this? Who did this? Not I. Not I, he says. It was me. It was me. It was me. I think it doesn't help that Whoops. The sketch underneath is like really dark here for some reason. I must have really hammered in the shape. But I think that's what's kind of not aiding in this. It looks uglier because of that, but obviously those lines won't be there later. I think maybe that was too big of a detail, like it was going too high. So let's just smooth that out a little bit. There's still an illusion of the ab line, especially the lower abs usually are the lesser. I mean, for most, they're lesser defined, but obviously this is a character who is pretty defying a lot of things. She's still pretty strong though, which I really like. She looks strong. Or I'm at least making her still look kind of strong. Yeah, this is weird because her chest is actually twisting. I have it like warping in space, which is kind of making it look odd. Just like you. Okay, this isn't perfect, but man, did it look hideous before, and it was driving me in. It's one of those things where like my brain couldn't see anything else. Like every time I would add other detail, I just kept seeing how horrible the abs were shaded. And they still aren't that much better, but at least there's something about this little divot that I just don't like here. Can we just fully commit that it's like a fold? No. No, we can't. That looks ugly too. We maybe more stark this way. And then it gets thinner. I think the problem is a lot of this actually would be in shadow from this angle, right? But it seems odd to put too much in shadow, but let's try it. Let's do the same. Let's do the let's get rid of the belly button entirely. It'll get caught in this. So again, our weird new phrase we've dubbed, we'll put some salad on the ranch, where we actually overfill it, right? And then we'll cut back where we need. So let's try that. If it wasn't working like I like to do, just say overdo it then, and reel it back like we're tuning a guitar, right? I think I've mentioned that before. When you're tuning a guitar, or any instrument usually, but I can't speak to that because I don't know all instruments. For me, a individual who plays guitar, when you tune, you over tune at first. You way over tune it, and then you pull it back because you want to go really far, and then you tune it slowly back the other way. And that's kind of what I like to do here is just over tune it, and then we'll pull back. These highlights are killing me too. Who put them there? Who did this? Again, it was me. Stupid. All right, I think this is still the right layer. Yeah. So let's just overdo it. So it's like not much at all in highlight or in light. And see if that reads better. Kinda. I think that does work a little bit better. I don't know. It's better than it was, and we can come back when I readdress this area. But we can always do the... Does that look stupid? Yeah, it probably does. A little bit of a belly button. Yeah, too big. We'll see if we can even get an illusion of that, or if we just nix the idea of having the belly button visible. I think it'll help if I add way more. So I wanted to add more shadow to this anyway. Like since they're the tights, I really wanted to have multiple shadows because I feel like tights have like a shimmer to them. And so to convey that, I wanted a handful of different values here. So maybe that'll help, just adding an extra dark value up here around the ribs. Really want there to be like this ab divot, but I just can't stop trying to make fetch happen kind of deal, you know? Like if it's just not working, you kind of have to give up. I'm getting lost in this area right now. I probably shouldn't be. I need to get the base of other stuff done. Yep, okay. Does it look better with the lines off at least? Oop, that's not the line layer. Get out of here, sketches. Yeah, the abs still are giving me grief. We'll see, we'll see. I'll look back. I don't know why I can't sell that shape properly. Anyway, back to like the little details I wanted to add that I didn't realize. So this piece, right? So the silver, that's over the red. So we can go in real quick, right? This is not going to be a crazy process. I just want, this actually has grommet apparently. So we can give it just a hint of color. Oop, I need to make this a little smaller. And now there's that. Okay, that looks cool. It's not just a hole. It actually feels like it's a conscious like piece of detail. And then I'll add some shadow to it too. Okay, that goes a long way actually. Good job, me, for noticing the missing piece. And then also, what do we got? Like right here too. There was two kind of grommets. One's facing one way, given the way this is shaped, unfortunately. Yeah, I made this too short, so we'd have to like kind of budget, but it's like this maybe. So it's coming towards us, and it would be like right up against the red from our perspective. And the other one would be actually pretty close to it from this angle. So I suppose this now is sometimes when you add little details, it does help sell the movement of shape better that you couldn't convey as easily. So because there's this now, that we know this is supposed to be a grommet or some sort of little stud, right? But because I'm curving its bottom part this way, it's informing us a little more. Oops, I don't want to do that. I wanted to just do a straight up new layer to show that this shape, right, is going like this. It's a big square coming towards us, essentially. So, like, it's coming towards us this way. And because of that, the grommets then would lie on this curve coming towards us, the viewer. But because that curve, like, didn't have any detail, it was hard to sell it, especially since it's going to be primarily in shadow. But if we do something like this, sometimes adding detail can help sell your design or the perspective even more. So I didn't even think of this at the time, but this is a double whammy that now I get to add the detail in, but also it helps sell what I was trying to convey with the shape anyway in the first place, that I was having a harder time doing. But now that I see it this way, I'm reminded I should have thought about that before. Yeah, so she's got those two studs, and then now this we might not see both studs, and that's okay. Or we'll see one and then part of one maybe. Again, talking about helping sell the image, like the perspective that we had. Remember how we did the shadow here to show that this folded in space? Now, that even sells it even more, because all of a sudden there's something behind it, like an actual piece behind it that we can't see fully. Cool. And now we just add a little bit of shadow, just like so grab the shadow color. So for the grommets, put it predominantly in shadow here. For this, we haven't addressed what we're doing here yet, but like we haven't given a lighting to this arm, but something like that should be fine. At least for now. We can adjust as time goes on. This, just all shadow. I don't care. Done. Dark. And then here, since the light is coming from above, it would just be kind of a little bit below selling that round shape. Wow. High five, team. What time is it now? It is 12:30. We did it. We did it. We went past our time as always. Are you shocked? Because I'm not. I'm debating reassessing the schedule overall and possibly making it like, I don't know, like 10:30 to 1:15 or something, or 10:30 to 1:30, making it 3 hours and not 3 days a week then, or not 5 days a week. And I crack it down to 3 because I'm already doing 3 hours anyway. And the goal is I wanted to be streaming for about 8 hours a week ish. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or 10, sorry. But if I do 3 3-hour days, then we're hitting 9. That's close enough. And then that gives me time to focus more back on the YouTube stuff that I feel like I'm not able to get to in doing this right now. So maybe that's the move. I don't know. I really like drawing in the morning, and I've really enjoyed streaming this stuff and the process. So we'll see. Because it's not always what you like. It's about what's effective. And while I like doing this, I don't know if this is the most efficient use of my time at the moment. Where are we looking now? So we did the reds. Did we finish? So we finished the reds enough, but I don't like looking at this strap. Looks weird. So let's slap a more shadow, like as I zoomed out now. Is that the right? Zoom out and look at it. It just felt not enough in shadow compared to the rest. That's a little better. Not perfect, but better. Nice. Okay. Now, what should we tackle? That'll just, whatever we tackle next will probably be the last thing we tackle. So do we do gray for the gloves and stuff, or we do purple for the legs and the little bit of feet and the shoulders? I want to see even what kind of colors we can get working with this purple, because I made it such a deep color. I'm worried that shadows aren't going to be visible as much, right? I don't know. We'll see. So we grab this purple because I feel like it almost has to be like a black at this point. Yeah, like if we go down, are we going to see this even? Okay, we definitely see that. But is that too dark? And we did want to include, if you remember, there's this piece that cuts in. And again, the sketch is, everything's so dark I can't even see. Oh, I did like the curve of this, so I wanted to reference it because I remember I did like how that ended up looking. Or something like that. This is a fat brush I made right now. Okay, so get rid of the sketch now. Too dark. We'll play with this color, and since we work with separate layers, the beauty is I can adjust the color. You know, if it's too dark, if it's too light, I can always change it in one go, right? So we'll try that. We'll slap down some real quick. What was our original? What did we do here? I couldn't even see because, again, the difference. Okay. That was just if you didn't know. So sometimes what I'll do, I like doing this. So I did like a quick, this is sloppy, threw it on just to get the idea of where the light was coming from. Merged it down into one layer, made it tiny, and it's like a thumbnail of it. And you can see how big the toes used to be. Ooh, gross. Um, I toned them down a little. I towed them down a little. Anyway, but no, so it's a quick thing to reference. So like, how did I want the lighting to look? And it looks like we kind of are hitting a lot of that. Right here, this is more in shadow than I originally planned, but you know, stuff like that, we can kind of see the shape is similar. But we can get rid of it for now because I just wanted a quick peek of what did we think originally? And so for here, we kind of just did a pretty broad stroke. Oh my gosh, my screen protector, it's a paper-like. And it's seeing some wear. I need to get a new one on. You're supposed to add one you put a new one on pretty regularly, especially for how often I use mine now. But it's leaving like scuffs, and I got nervous at first. I thought something was wrong with my brush or my stroke because the scuff looked like it was like an imperfection in the line. I was like, "Oh crap, what did I Oh, nope, that's just my that's just the iPad." Like I said, one day when I make it big, I'll buy myself we'll get a new iPad here. But until that day, this bad boy will suffice. How does it interact with okay. So it kind of just becomes one. Let's say for simplification. It does go up, but it looks weird there then. So that just kind of we won't see that because it'll go behind the calf, right? But we would see some shadow in the knee. I don't remember exactly the orientation we decided for the knee, but it would make sense to be something along those lines, right? Again, when you know the shape enough, the shadows, it's something that like just comes with practice, obviously. Like the more you do it, the more you understand how and where light will hit or where light won't hit and so on and so forth. So in this instance, just kind of going with gut, not overly thinking. I am not sure how you shade toenails. Just like everything with toenails, I don't know crap about them. My brain does not know what long toenails would look like. This has been a struggle for me. But so if we put the whole thing in shadow, essentially here, right? So we'll do the putting some ranch or some dressing on this ranch here, and we'll kind of just the knuckle-ish area of where the toes recede back in this space to kind of allude to some shape here, but nothing too much. So again, this is still like a shinier tight, just a different type of tight, I guess. So we can give some like shadows like this, I think we can get away with. I don't like that. I don't know how to sell this plane change here. They do have some wrinkles in this though, so I guess to show. So not okay. to show that it's a difference. So the tights are going to be real tight, but they do have wrinkles kind of in this material to kind of sell. So I think we'll use, so sometimes you can use wrinkles then as like a shadow almost. So if we add a wrinkle here, we might be able to get away with making it look more a double whammy. You try and use it as a shadow and as a wrinkle, and then it's best of both worlds, right? This is interesting though, because this will definitely need highlights in the leg now to really sell this material. We'll do that next. So the shoulder, let's say the shoulders, this is just in shadow. This is just dark. The shoulder and the arm, you can give like a hint here, but nothing too much. And then same over here. This is gonna be predominantly shadow, let's say. This is definitely shadow. Because there's just a lot going on over here, so the ambient occlusion even would darken the heck out of it from the shoulder pad. But it is interesting since we've implied that this is a shape that can receive wrinkles. Do we repeat that somewhere else? Or do we kind of save it just for the leg where there's open space? Because putting it in the shoulder, I worry, might become... There's already a lot of busyness happening in the shoulder. But we'll throw a couple wrinkles in and see how that looks. Just there. Nowhere else, I think, really. Actually, I think we could sell with a nice wrinkle here then, right? That hip really moving in space. Okay, so that helps sell the hip even more. Poppin', right? Yes, it is. Those abs still look horrible. That's again, I don't know. Maybe that is an off stream. Maybe this weekend. So this weekend I'll definitely sit and mess with this a lot more, hopefully. Since like I said, we're taking some well needed rest this weekend between our house here, so we'll see. I feel like we didn't, doesn't look like we did a lot, but I feel like we did. I don't know. Anyway, back to this. So this leg, let's do the same thing, right? Slap the whole bad boy in shadow. So much easier at this point to just erase what's not in shadow. This one, yeah, we wouldn't see that fold, like the inner seam here, but we would maybe see the edge thing. So this guy. Not a whole lot, though. So just give interesting shape there. Because if you look at your leg, oh, Bart has really a big brush again. When you look at like your hamstring, it's interesting shape because it's actually the insertion point of your hamstring is multiple pieces. What I love about muscles and anatomy is they're all basically like locks, right? It's like a lock and a key system in every part of your body. And so knowing where those locks and keys and joints actually meet really helps out because you can just take the general shape of like, hey, there's actually two bits coming down here from the hamstring into the back of the knee into the calf. And that sells it, right? That little guy is all we need. And now you know what we're looking at. So here, I don't know how much light we really want to give, but we can give little bits, not a whole lot. And the lighting here in my game, in the room, because I've got the big lights, it's really hard to see. I'm going to awkwardly hold this bad boy up to my face here to kind of better get a light because it's so bright in the, it doesn't look too bright in the room, I don't think. But it's actually, the sun is shining surprisingly for a gross winter day. And on top of the sun shining, it also is refracting off of the snow and bouncing all over. And I've got all the lights on in here. So it definitely is brighter. And so looking at the iPad screen does become a little difficult when you're working in shadow like this, like dark color. So I want a little bit of illusion for the knee too, because the knee is a shape that definitely sticks out heavily. And so we still want to be able to see that. And I wonder with this then, we give a little bit of roundness to this shape, just so we feel like it's, yeah. Just so that wraps around so we know the curvature. So that helps sell that, hey, this is a rounded out half, right? So we're selling with shadows and highlights, the only thing you're really telling the viewer is the shape, right? The shape and the light. And so if you're not telling the shape by curving and accentuating what you're looking at, why are you even, that's the whole point of it. Like, that's what you gotta do. A little bit more to the heel, maybe. And then do we really, I don't even know if, do we do a highlight on the toe? Nail? Just a little. I never did shadows for the feet, did I? Crap. That would also need this color blurred, and I don't. I like doing it all in one go because then I know the color is the right color. It's hard to color pick from a blurred layer. Whoa. I think that does it for this purple, right? We can try and add a couple highlights now. It's not, I think we're gonna do soft highlights for the skin and not do like, like hard highlights like this. So that'll help sell the difference between the materials, that her skin is gonna be very soft. And I'm debating if the gray is too. So we have two material that doesn't have hard highlights, but I don't know. I'm not sold on that yet. But for now, let's quickly kind of imagine what we think the highlight color would be. So let's warm it just a smidge and pull it up. Let's see if this looks okay. That looks good to me. Yeah. So here we're trying to sell these wrinkles, right? And since the light is coming from up here, the wrinkles would have quite a fall off as we go down the leg here. So it'd be like a hard wrinkle, and then, but I don't want to break this line just yet. I'm not quite sure if that'll look good or not. I like letting it breathe and really feeling like this is a strong seam. And to sell that, we kind of need um the fold even to not break that line. Maybe for one we do, just to show like this maybe is like a deep fold, but again, let's do it without and see if we need to add it. This goes a long way though. Already I can tell this is making it look a lot cleaner. I like it. Too thick. Right? I like that. Sells the stitching pretty well. Don't want to overdo it though. I wonder if the shadow's too dark now that I'm looking at this. Again, we'll play with that after everything's blocked in. I think that highlight goes a long way to sell that leg. So let's do kind of, what can we do? The same thing kind of here. Give it just like an illusion of that. So I'm like faking like horizontal line there to make it feel like there's a wrinkle, just because then it kind of feels similar to the other part of the leg, right? There's usually wrinkles at the ankle quite a bit. Too much, too busy. What if it comes back around the foot like that? That would make sense, right? I think it goes on the, yeah, it does. Oh, even better. I was right. Cool. So we can sell it as if this curve does come back. Let's fix it though. So the curve comes back, or like the seam that we've been working on, right? So let's have the seam follow the shape of the foot. So we can kind of sell that shape more. Okay. Again, just playing with the light and shadow here to kind of look like there's a wrinkle. And this is pretty thick though, this line. I wonder if we can just tone it down just a hair. Just because it was getting, like, it was a little too busy, I felt like, down here. Too thick. Okay. A little better. And then do we draw it coming up here still, just to be like, hey, no, it's wrapping around the leg. Or is there two? And we just say there's two seams. Because it looks cool. And we just say there is. Who's gonna tell me no? Are you? That's right. Okay, yeah, that is cool. Completely fake the design there, and I'm okay with that. Let's get rid of this then, since we're adding more. So we're not adding shadow, obviously, because the whole thing's in shadow. We don't need to. Cool. I like it. I like it enough, at least, to say we did the thing. So her legs are looking pretty clean. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to touch up the tights more. The tights don't fit now. The tights were the first thing I laid down for color. So they will definitely warrant some variation. But for now, they look fine. I think what I want to do before I sign off is block in a little bit of shadow real quick on the hair. Just because it's such a large mass right now, and I wanna feel a little bit of an idea of what we're working with. So let's get our, ooh, that's not what I wanted. Let's get my sketch back in there. Drop the opacity down to 20 maybe. So we still see it. I don't, well, it's still a little high actually for what we want. Let's go even lower. There we go. So right now I just want to block in the idea of the shadow before we sign off, because it's already 12:45, I'm guessing. It is 1 o'clock actually, even past 12:45. So we'll just crank this out one more. One more vibe. So do we want, curious how we want to do the shadow. Do we give the shadow like the ever littlest bit of hint of red, maybe? Instead of, I think that reads nicely, that little hint of red in it. Not a lot, but something. So okay, so let's just sell the folds real quick, and then the heavy amount of shadow. So I kind of want to block in again, whole lot of shadow, and then we can pull it back after and highlight by erasing. So again, we'll definitely erase a lot, but for now, just to kind of sell the movement of the hair, I wanted something here. It just looked too much of light gray, and I wanted something for the moment. Again, we shall tweak it later. Like already, I bet if I zoom out, yeah, this is looking much more appealing. It was just looking ugly and I wasn't liking it. It's hard to get excited when a piece of your, like you want to change it if it's looking ugly, right? Because that's what you're looking at this whole time. So before I close out, I want to at least make it look a little better. Here's kind of like the same thing that I talked about with the scarf, where it's like, yes, it can do whatever you want, but also if you do it, there's a big difference between doing it well and doing it great. Doing it great is not something I do, so we are settling for well at the moment. Strive for great, settle for well as I get better. These are getting too fine of lines, I think, by her head. But it doesn't matter. Again, I said I was blocking in. Stop. Stop. Let's put the whole thing back here in shadow behind her. Okay. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. It's blocked in at least. Now we look at that hair and it looks like there's more done. I feel like the shadow was not. It was so not there. But yeah, so let's just quickly do a couple pieces like this just to. This is getting too in the weeds, I think, right here. Ooh, it's too much. Too many lines. You got to commit to like which ones are worth it. Again, at least when simplifying it. With hair too, you want to always be aware of the movement and not forget that, because every line you're making is a representation of a strand of hair or a shadow placed under a clump of hair, right? So you're thinking in massive clumps. So how does the clump move in space? Not to be confused with, Nutty Professor and those clumps. Or maybe you're into that, and that's what helps you. Some Eddie Murphy. We all have our weird things that help us remember stuff. I doubt anyone's going to remember the Nutty Professor for doing hair, because that doesn't really make sense. But, you know, if it helps, it helps. You do you, honey bear. As per usual, I am sitting here and man, is my stomach grumbling. Even though I woke up late like an idiot because of my extra research I was doing and didn't actually eat until later, my body still is like, hey, it's about that time, right? We don't care when the last time you ate. We just know this is the time we eat. Okay, I think that sells the hair. Hair enough real quick for now. Psych. This mass is too big. But yeah, we need to wrap it up. Hopefully, everybody has some fun stuff going on for Friday after, work or whatever you've all got going on, and maybe some fun stuff on the weekend. Or the exact opposite, where your fun is relaxing and not dealing with other parts of the world right now. Especially given what's going on Monday, but that's a whole other thing. America. It's looking kind of weird. I'll look at that later. But as we are already almost 40, we are 40 minutes past what my initial run time wanted to be. I think we got, again, it doesn't look like as much as I'd like. It never seems to, but progress is progress. And I really like how this turned out. Simple lines, but I feel like this sells the shape really well now. So hopefully off stream I can make a couple tweaks, get some more stuff done. But she's looking much more complete now, at least with a lot of these darks and more shape to her, even more so than before. So hopefully we can get a little bit more going this weekend. And maybe I don't even do any more on stream on Monday. I have no clue. All I know is Monday I'll be back, like is the plan for the foreseeable future. So Monday I will be back. We will be doing more stuff. If I have to finish up Sue on Monday, it is what it is. We'll finish her up. However, next week I do want to adjust and not do this fine tuning of stuff. The goal would be to pump out a couple fun sketches and leave them at that, and maybe practice getting stuff done quicker. And even doing some like basic coloring. Maybe I'll just use like some halftones and stuff like that. But for now, I think I want to adjust the overall schedule in that sense. But, we all need to get better, and that is one thing I know I definitely need to get better with. So I'm going to wrap it up here and go eat some lunch. I hope everyone has a great weekend ahead, or at least great enough. So yeah, be kind, kick butt. Till next time.